Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mark Siegel, your resident EdTech specialist, who is here to show you a couple things about Google Meet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to set it up for your Google Classroom, and then I'm going to show you a couple of neat little add-ons that you can add for Google Meet to help streamline your process of getting going and getting things to be effective. And I'll throw in a couple of tips and tricks in there as well. So let's start by this. Biggest concern about Google Meet, Zoom, etc. is the confidentiality. How do we lock it down so only the students that I want to be there are going to actually be there? Okay, first let's start with Google Classroom. So I'm in my Google Classroom that I'm going to set up, and you'll notice that in the banner is this button that says Generate Meet Link. You want to click this. By setting this up, and I'm going to do this right now so that my class is all set up, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to save it, and you'll notice that it's visible to students. Now by doing this, what will happen is this link is now going to sit in the banner of your Google Classroom on the student side as well. Every time you start your class and you want them to go to a Google Meet, so that's going to be every day if you're web streaming like I am, all they have to do is go to their Google Classroom, click on the banner, and boom, immediately their class they jump right into your class. Now here's the thing about this. I'm going to share a couple things. Number one, by doing it this way versus generating a link each and every time, you don't have to send out a link every single day for what your Google Meet is going to be. You just tell them, go to Google Classroom, click on the link, load it up, good to go. Number one. Number two, it's harder for students who are not part of your class to get in because the code to get in is this little piece on the end, but if the students click this and share this link, it won't let other students in. So it's a little level of security. Number three, there is a waiting room option available to you automatically, because here's what happens. As a teacher, you have control of this class. You can mute and you can mute people. You can't unmute them, but you can mute them. You can block them and remove them. And so when you set this up, automatically anyone who's comes in after you have to approve them to come in through the wait room. So you can see who's waiting to come in, and if you say, hey, that kid's not in my class, you just don't approve that person to get in. So it's awesome. So let's click on this. I'm going to show you kind of what it is and a couple things about Google Meet. So I've got one set up, and it's going to look really weird because I've got it set up on my phone so that you can see what happens when there's multiple people in the room. So a couple of things about this. You'll notice that the toolbar on the bottom disappears and reappears as I move my mouse. I want you to notice something. This Present Now button. There's a couple of options, just like you see in things like Screencastify. You can do your entire screen, not recommended because they're going to see this as well, and it gets all Inception-like. You can do a window or a Chrome tab. Now, if you're doing this from a Chromebook, Chrome tab is the best thing to do because you now can click on the presentation that you're going to show and do anything you want in any other window. So the students can't see everything that you're going on. I'm on a PC, so a window is an option because I can move this to other windows that I have available because I have things that are split screen. Okay, so you can see how what my setup looks like. I have a lot of screens going on, and so the students will be able to, if you're working on a PC, desktop, or laptop, that might be an option for you. Also look at the options that you have available under the three dots. Notice that record a meeting is here. Highly recommend you do this. Now you make sure you double check with your supervisors and administrators on this. But recording a meeting, when you do this, everything that is said, everything that is shown, and the chat are all available in that meeting. So this dumps to your Google Drive when you are done, and it just sits there. And if you're a school, Google Apps for Education school, or an enterprise user like our district is, then you don't have to worry. You have infinite amount of storage. Just dump it all there. You have a student who's absent. You have a parent who wants to see what happened. You have an administrator who says something was reported that this thing happened in your Google Meet. No problem. Share the link. Done. You don't have to spend an extra time meeting with a person separately and giving them that lesson all over again. They see all the exchanges that's happening. Obviously, you can do things like change your layout, settings, etc., etc. The other good thing about this is when you do generate the link, it does also give you that phone number. And so students who don't have webcams, but they're going to call in and just listen on audio, you can still give them a phone number that they can actually dial in, and they could hear and respond to everything as well. It's part of your options. Okay, so a couple quick things about just Google Meet in general. Now let's talk about 3 Chrome extensions that I have found that I'm super excited to test out. First one is Grid View. Okay, so grid view, now it's not going to look great because there's only 2 of us, but grid view gives you an option of having a whole lot of people on the screen. I think you can get up to 25 people on the screen. So if you have a class of 25 people, you can get all your students on the screen at one time. Now granted, their squares are going to be really tiny, but you can see all 25 people at the time. There are some advanced settings that you can play with. For example, if the chat window is open, it resizes the grid so it doesn't block anyone. You can prevent it from showing up in your presentations, things like that. You can change the name that appears on the bottom. Little options like that. But this is called Grid View. Now, I want to show you in the Chrome Web Store something specific. Notice there are several Google Meet grid views. You want this one here, the one that's offered by Chris Gamble, okay? When you add that to Chrome, that's the official Google Meet. This one looks identical to it, has a higher rating, and guess what? It's a lie. That was stolen from Chris Gamble. The person downloaded the source code from the internet and published it as their own. It works the exact same, but it's going to conflict with other apps. It is not an approved Google Meet extension. So be careful of imposters out there. Now, why is that important? Okay, so let me bring you to the next one I'm super excited about. This one here is called attendance, okay? So that appears, it says Google Meet attendees. So actually, I believe on Web Store, let me pull it up so it's on the screen. It's Google Meet. If you type in Google Meet attendees, you should find it. Yep, attendees and breakouts. Okay, that's important. Don't do Google Meet attendance. I'll get to that one in a second. But Google Meet attendees and breakout, you want to check out. So check this out. I just learned about it and I'm super excited to do this because the biggest thing right now is Google Meet is going to have collaborative like breakout rooms, but not until sometime in October or November. And that's a problem because some of you are already teaching in August and we start in September, and that's going to slow things down. But here's how it works. Once you enable this extension, it pops up in your Google Meet. All the people that are in the Google Meet will automatically populate here. Check this out. So now we can do a group generator. In here, I can modify how many groups I want. So let's say I want 5 groups in the class, and it generates the groups. Boom. Obviously, Mark is the only one here, so he gets in group 1. You can now copy these groups. Okay. You can come over to the chat. You can paste them into the chat. And now the students know what group they're in. Once that's in the chat, come back to attendance and click copy meet links. This is the coolest part. Go back to your chat and paste in your meet links. Now each group gets its own Google Meet to break out into, and so the students can just click that one meet. It opens up a new window with a new Google Meet, and those students can now meet with each other and talk back and forth. Here's the other cool part. All these links are right there for the kids, and you can go in and out of them. Now, on a Chromebook, it might be difficult to run multiple Google Meets, but if you're on a desktop or a laptop, you should be able to run 3 to 5 Google Meets with no problem whatsoever without any slowdown. So this allows you to jump in and out of conversations with students. Awesome if you're doing a hybrid system like we are. We'll have some students in school and some students virtual every day. So this is great. Or students who don't even see each other because of an all virtual day, this jumps in. So this is super cool, and I'm really excited to get started with this, using this like the first day of school to get kids to start communicating and building relationships with each other. Okay, so that's number 2. Okay, so the third one is another one that I just learned about, and it is going to be awesome because one of my concerns as a teacher with having students who are physically in school, and half my students in school and half my students virtual, is how do I do attendance? Well, I'm going to lose my mind doing attendance. Aha. I'm going to have all my kids log into a Google Meet regardless of where they're physically located, and I'm going to use this extension. You can see it up here on my toolbar. It installs itself. It's called Meet Attendance. Okay, so in here, you're going to type in Google Meet attendance, and you want this one. That is the apple with the check mark. Okay, that's important. Apple with the check mark because, again, sometimes things are copies. So Meet with the check mark, apple with the check mark. Now, once you log in, you'll see that you do have to subscribe. No problem. Basically, what it means is you just have to log in with your school Google account. Once you do that, in your chat window pops up this little checkbox. This checkbox actually links to your Google Sheets, and you can generate a Google Sheet with everyone who has entered into the Google Meet. So you just click Add New Sheet. It generates a sheet immediately, puts it into your Google Drive, and it records everyone who has come in. Now, little thing that I read about the notes. One, it generates the list at that moment. So if you have a kid who comes in late, they won't be on the list. So you'll have to generate a new list again later. So that's number one. Number two, you can turn it on and off. And number three, you can do a snapshot. So if you don't want to generate a Google Sheet each and every block or each and every time, you just do a snapshot, and it'll automatically take a snapshot, a picture of everyone who's in the Meet at that moment. So if you have a student who's like, I was there, you're like, ba-doom, no, you weren't. So it's there and it covers you for all of that stuff. So couple of really cool extensions. There's a lot of extensions for Google Meets. You know, you're welcome to go in and out and try different ones, but these are ones that I'm super excited about, and now I'm going to be sharing out with my staff, and people are going to be watching right now. So hopefully you found something valuable. If you liked what you saw, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe if you're not already on there, and I will see you soon for the next video. Have a great day, beautiful people.